Hey guys, how are we all doing? I hope you're all feeling really good. So today we're going to talk a little bit about mobility. I love mobility. It's a word that's really in vogue at the moment. We talk about mobility WODs and we talk about flexibility and stability and all these things. And what the hell does it mean? So, everything I know about mobility, well, not everything, but a really great deal of it comes from an incredible trainer who I work with at Gymbox called Firaz. He's a great coach. Look him up on Instagram. He just knows a lot of this stuff. Also looking at things like becoming a supple leopard and doing my own research and my own interest in this and biology. So when I'm talking about mobility, I'm talking about kind of a combination of things. I'm talking about your flexibility and your stability. Somebody who is super flexible, can touch their toes, can, do bizarre things, doesn't mean they're mobile. Because if they're not strong in those places, they're not actually mobile, they're just very flexible. Likewise, people who are really stable might not be able to touch their toes. So you kind of want the combination of these two factors. Now, I'm somebody with something called hypermobility. I'll go into this a little bit more later. But that means that whenever I've done mobility work, stretching is not my first port of call. A lot of people hear mobility, they go, that's that stretching thing, isn't it? Or that's that foam rollery thing where I relax everything. Yes and no. If you're somebody who's super tight, so not hypermobile, and sort of struggles getting your arms above about here, then absolutely you're going to want to do stretches that open out, that release your back, that kind of maybe you want to roll out so that you can get your arm to this place. And then you need to work that place. Because you've got two different things here. You've got your passive range of motion and your active range of motion. Your passive range of motion is where I could, for example, if I was doing a kick, I can kick my leg up nice and high, but I can't hold it there. It's passive. I can just kick it. I know my hamstring goes up there. In terms of my active range of motion, that's really only where I can hold it to, which might be 90 degrees on a very, very good day. This is for a variety of reasons that I won't go into here. But for now, we're going to talk about passive and active range of motion. A good mobility workout will work both. Ideally, you work the passive range and then you work in the active range. I'm going to use posture as a great example of this. How often have you thought, I need to get better posture? I sit all day, I'm hunched, and you think, right, I'm going to put a reminder, I'm going to put a little post-it note on my computer. Every 20 minutes or whenever I see it, I'm going to sit up straight. You do. And for about 10 seconds, you sit up really straight, and then gradually you go back to where you're at. Yeah, that's because consciously having to think about your posture isn't the best way to change it, trust me. The best way to change it is to strengthen the muscles that are weak and relax the muscles that are tight. So when we're looking at posture, we're looking at relaxing these muscles here, so your pecs generally. And you can do that in lots of ways. You can do it with stretches, you can do it by getting a nice tennis ball really working in there, or by a massage if you've got a really kind masseuse handy, all great. Then you need to work the strength in your back, because what's happened is you've got tense here. These have all squidged up and these have all released. Your back muscles aren't used to holding you up like this. When you see those braces, all they're doing is sort of holding your back muscles. They're not actually training them. So what you need to do is train the strength in your shoulders. Now you can do that in lots of ways. You can do that with things like band rows, or you can do it with, if you've got anything that moves your shoulders back, even pull-ups, stuff like that. So you're doing exactly as I said, which is that you're releasing the tight bit and you're strengthening the weak bit. Same is true for your legs. If you're somebody who's really struggling in maybe a squat, or you're struggling with your hamstrings being too tight, you want to stretch out your hamstrings, and then what's the reverse? Your hip flexors. You want to strengthen your hip flexors. I could go on and on about this because mobility is a fantastic topic, but the most important thing to take from this is stretch and then activate. Don't just stretch and leave it. Likewise, don't go into something and just work that limited range of motion. Range of motion, or ROM, you'll see it, is the range of motion you've got in a joint. Now, I mentioned earlier, I'm hypermobile. That means my arm doesn't just stop here. If you can see it, it goes all the way back. It means I can just touch my toes. I've got hypermobility in my body. It means I've got too much of a hormone called relaxin. Relaxin, super useful if you're given birth, because it's what allows you to, pass something the size of a watermelon. Great. It's what allows your joints to move around freely. People who are really hypermobile, my wife, I'm sure won't mind me saying, is that she is very hypermobile. If she moves her arm wrong, it's going to pop out of its socket. So what she needs to do, and what I need to do, is really stabilize that joint. I don't have to do a lot of stretching work on my shoulders. I'll do a little bit just to open it out because I do still have areas that are tight, But what's really important for me is that strengthening work. And that's the same for anyone here. So if you're somebody who suffers from hypermobility, it's going to be so tempting to stretch all the time because you're like, I can do this. I am good at stretching. It's the only thing that I was ever good at school, so I'm just going to keep doing it. Terrible idea. Because all you're doing is making everything more relaxed, more relaxed, more relaxed. And you're not actually getting stronger. So everything around the joint is too relaxed. It means that, you're more at risk. So what you want to do is strengthen everything. You can do that in so many ways. We talk about how you strengthen, and that can just be through your classic things like squats, stuff like that. Or you can look at a pails and rails technique. I have completely forgotten what those acronyms are. I will put it in the description, but it's PAIL and rails, RAIL. I personally think of it as push and release, P and R, either way. A good example of this is if you've got your arm against a wall, you turn away, you're stretching out here, then you push your arm, really, really push it into whatever you're using, maybe a door, maybe a frame, whatever you've got, and then you release it. When I release it, I'm not thinking of just letting my whole body twist, it's using that little bit of your muscle there to just pull it away, and then push, 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 pull it away. Pails and rails. Thinking of strengthening and stretching. It might feel a little bit like physio. In fact, the class that we teach at Gymbox for this is called prehab. They also teach rehab, but we call it prehab because you're essentially trying to stop problems before they happen. It can be good a lot of the time to do what we call unilateral work, so single-sided work. That's because, as a society, we're not balanced. We're all, for various reasons, not balanced, but also we tend to have a dominant side, you carry a bag on one side, etc. It's just life happens and you tend to be tighter on one side, looser on the other. So it can be really good to do unilateral focus work, things like lunges. And yes, yoga. Yoga is one of these things that when people say they need to do mobility, they think, yoga. Yes and no. Depends on the type of yoga. If you're somebody really, really tight who struggles to move their body, then something like yin yoga, where you're breathing deeply into postures and really having to relax, fantastic. You do that before and then maybe do a little bit of kind of those little pails rail stuff after, brilliant. If you're somebody who is already very flexible, sitting in poses and just relaxing into them for a long time, same problem as static stretches. If you keep it dynamic, if it's strong, doesn't have to be, power, rocket, whatever forms of yoga we've got, Bikram, it just needs to have a bit more of a flow to it. Think of trying to go through the vinyasas, keeping yourself strong, really connecting in, making it harder, make it a strength workout. And that will help you to increase your overall stability and therefore your overall mobility. What to take from this video? Assess yourself. Know yourself. Are you somebody who struggles more with the flexibility end or the strength side? What do you need to work on? It might be in your shoulders, you're fine with flexibility, but your hips are rubbish. It might be that you're really, really strong in your knees, but you can't move your arms for rubbish. You need to know yourself. If you work with me, I do also give mobility advice. I'm not a trained physio, so I'm not going to pretend to be doing physiotherapy work with you, but I will hopefully get you to a point in your body where the movements we're doing, like squatting, you're able to get your butt down without your heels peeling off. Can't promise, but we can do our best with that. If this is something you're interested in, check me out, robinholdawaypt@gmail.com, drop me a message, say hello. Also, if you like these videos, please let me know. It's always nice to hear from you guys. Have a great day. Bye.